This is a story about a GoldenEye fan called Stolen, who wasn't content with the emulator controls, so he decided to create a mouse injector which gives the user the ability to play GoldenEye and Perfect Dark very smoothly with the keyboard and mouse. After kindly sharing the source code on a website he created, he was widely criticised on several websites through no fault of his own. This allegedly led to him taking his own life. In this video I'm going to share the facts as best as I can. Unfortunately, some websites have removed many of the comments following news of Stolen's death, but some archived pages still remain. I'd like to thank Mute, whose Twitter handle is @MuteStudios, for sharing links to these archived pages. Let's start this story with what Stolen actually created. I can't tell you his story without quickly telling you my own. After many years of playing Perfect Dark on Xbox Live Arcade, I finally conceded I will probably never play GoldenEye on Xbox Live Arcade, and decided I wanted to go back and play GoldenEye the best way I possibly could. So in July 2015, I posted up a very simple question on shootersforever.com. What is the best way to emulate the GoldenEye single player? And my friend Mute came back with a couple of screenshots and an example of the sky working in GoldenEye on a video he uploaded. I was really impressed with the quality of the text and the textures in the emulator. In his video the movement looked insanely smooth, and that was what caught my eye more than anything. After playing around with the files, I got it to work, but I messaged Mute to say, out of interest, do you use a controller or mouse when you play? I use my Xbox 360 controller. Mute came back to say that he uses the keyboard and mouse, and that he uses Stolen's version of 1964 instead of Project 64 with his mouse injector, but he said in brackets, use at your own risk. I came back to say that I didn't realise it would be so cloak and dagger, but I didn't realise just how cloak and dagger it would all get. It's hard to know exactly when Stolen finished his mouse injector and shared it with everyone. On the Internet Archive, the most recent archive post is from July 16th, 2014 on his own website. But there's a much earlier post on shootersforever.com in June 25th, 2011 where he shares a link to his website and tells everyone that he's finished development for the bundle. And now we'll talk about the criticism. If by looking down this thread it wouldn't look like there is much criticism. Some of Stolen's posts have been edited by Stolen and they just say snip, so I can't really say what is there, but it's clear that some of these comments have been wiped from the forum post. At some point, Rhett comes in and posts that this thread will be edited tomorrow to remove any unnecessary content. Now, I can only assume that unnecessary content is virus claims. We will see those on other websites, but I think they have been wiped from this thread. And another edit that comes in saying some of the posts above have been deleted. And Multiplayer X comes in and says, I think I'm going to word my opinions more carefully next time. Honestly, I meant no harm by it. So clearly he said something to upset Stolen in this one. And above this as well, you can see Stolen has sadly left the community. I doubt you'll get an update anytime soon. Something bad went on with Shooters Forever. Stolen would join and leave the community and get other people to post on his behalf, but obviously there had been a falling out and some people, he couldn't just take it anymore, he couldn't take the criticism. Other websites do still have the criticism remaining. There's a lot of graphic content in this. People have been trolling him really hard, and I'm not going to show the types of images that were posted because it's pretty disgusting actually. But just to give you an idea of the type of criticism that was received directly after Stolen posted this up, the first review that came out said this. And I've had to screenshot this very carefully because directly below this there's lots of graphic content by this poster. He says, "This is a virus, fuck you Stolen, I hope you die painfully, fuck you." So that's pretty disheartening for someone that's gone out of their way to share this. Some other criticism on the same thread: this doesn't work, it's broken, get Project 64. This is someone that obviously has problems just getting the emulator to work, so he takes that out on Stolen. Someone else comes in to say, just in case anyone plans to download this, know that I end up with a bunch of viruses. Whether it was from this exact software I couldn't tell you with complete finality, but I whittled it down and it's the most likely culprit. Like, that just reeks of someone that downloads lots of dubious files on their computer and they don't know where they've got their virus from, so they just naturally blame this. Oh yeah, P.S. I'm glad Stolen killed himself. He deserved it, which is just incredible. The admin then goes on in this thread later. I think he ends up closing the thread and he says, this is the admin, we've been given warnings by multiple users of this software. This is a virus and we advise you not to download this. And he just writes virus the whole way down. This is the census citing the consensus. What happens here is there was possibly, there even could have been a version of this that was going around that was a virus. Like maybe someone, which I hope didn't happen, but what could have happened was that someone downloaded Stolen's files and repackaged it with a virus. That's a possibility here. The other possibility is that the false positive, I'll talk about that in a little minute, but your virus protector will throw up a virus warning on the mouse injector because it thinks it's a keylogger. And what people may have seen was that this warning came up and they just assumed that they had a virus, so they removed it and just assumed that immediately this was a virus. And this could have happened a few people, and all it takes is 4 or 5 people to start saying this for more people to jump on the bandwagon and for other people to read their posts, and just a snowball effect where you can see where this admin is saying that he's been given warnings, so he's just assuming that they're true. Another website where Stolen got criticism was Reddit. Here's a post here. Someone says, this is a virus. According to the post over at Reddit emulator, edit looks like 4chan already knows about this. A crazy thing is the Reddit emulation thread that someone was talking about in the previous screenshot. Someone here says it's a mouse injector is a keylogger, Trojan spy, do not download this. It's clearly trying to get people he only registered recently, he's clearly trying to get people to download his virus. This is a video that links to YouTube, and someone's sharing his gameplay of a GoldenEye using the actual mouse injector. And the crazy thing about this is it's now a private or an unlisted video. The user himself who uploaded it in the description says software used 1964 mouse injector bundle, link removed due to Trojan concerns, following advice from comment below. I think that's actually probably from advice from the Reddit post as well. But this is a user himself using it and has obviously got no viruses, but he's even worried that he'll be seen as sharing viruses. And that's the problem with this these virus claims. People are just so worried that because it's thrown up these false positives that they just don't want to get involved with it and they don't want to touch it. So you can see how people who have this program and are worried about using it and sharing it themselves would worry other people who were thinking about downloading it. If they've got no confidence in it, how can anyone else have confidence in it? There were some steps to prove once and for all that Stolen's mouse injector was not a virus, and bleepingcomputer.com is a website that tests files to see if there are viruses or not. Someone posted up here saying that some people have been saying that this is a malware, a keylogger, full of viruses. Others say it's clean. He posts the file up, and some people here help out, go into a lot of detail that I'll not go into, but I'll leave links to all this in the description so you can read through it yourself. Basically, the conclusion is from everyone you talk to that knows about these things and looks into them is that it's a false positive. Your antivirus thinks you've got a keylogger installed, which keyloggers are used for people to get, say, for example, your bank details or passwords. It logs your keys, and then whoever's put the virus on your machine knows what you've been typing. Essentially, mouse injector is a keylogger in the sense that it logs your keys for your movement and for your mouse movements. So most virus protectors just won't like the idea of that being on there. It's an unregistered software, and this is just something that Stolen wouldn't have been really thinking about or too concerned about at the time of making his mouse injector. And I'm sure he would have had no idea the level of criticism it would have led to. Which leads us on to the rather sad part of this story, Stolen's alleged suicide. In On September 13th, 2014, someone posted up, WTF, read the comments, scroll to the bottom of the archive page, stolen 1997 to 2014. His sister logged onto his Valve account and said he suicided, and everyone says his mouse injector is a logger, ... Some people were questioning whether or not that was true, which is understandable. Some people say it's a coincidence that we find out this was a keylogger the whole time, which isn't true, of course. I'm surprised no one had an issue with it until recently. Everything seems a little fishy to me. Until more information is given out that his death is real, I honestly can't believe him. The thing with the internet is we may never get that information, and even if we did have some sort of other post, who's to say that the other post isn't fake? This is the post on the archive website mentioned on shootersforever.com. Virtual Mark posted, I first met Stolen in GoldenEye Source around 2007. He was known as Laggy back then and was the best player in GoldenEye Source around that time, until he went offline in 2009. I hadn't heard from him since then until today when his sister logged onto his Steam account and told me he committed suicide. Looking back at it, I wish I was there for him when he needed a friend or someone to talk to. I regret not helping him as much as I could have. I missed you, friend. R.I.P. Laggy. 1997 to 2014. Someone else in August 18 posted R.I.P. Laggy. I read a comment where someone questioned whether Stolen's sister would have access to his Steam account. My wife doesn't have access to my Steam account, but anytime she logs into my computer, Steam automatically logs in, and quite often the chat will pop up from people thinking it's me. And naturally, if your brother committed suicide, the first thing you would want to know is why. And saying as Stolen would have spent a lot of time on his computer, that's the first place his sister would have looked. So is any of this true? How do we know anything is true we see or read on the internet, especially now with so much fake news? None of this could be true. I could have made this whole story up and photoshopped a bunch of fake websites together. But regardless of what parts of the story is true, we have two possibilities. Two realities we must face. 1. Someone on the internet created a mod, and because of the bad criticism it received, they killed themselves. 2. Someone created a mod and through bad feedback quit a community by faking his death. Both possibilities are sad and have the same negative result. Who knows what Stolen would have worked on had he been encouraged and not discouraged. Something that really bugs me about this story is how people who give negative reviews have never created anything original themselves, but they have the cheek to criticise someone who goes out of their way to create a program for free that lets us all play a game better. How do I know the people leaving negative reviews have never created anything themselves? Because they have no idea how much hard work goes into creating some of this stuff. And if they did, they would never be so critical. Stolen, if you are alive and watching this, I want to say thank you for letting me replay GoldenEye in a modern way. Something that was denied to me by Nintendo when the Xbox Live Arcade version was cancelled. And if you did take your own life, rest in peace, Stolen.